Hello all, welcome to Life Skills from Sanskrit. I'm Jigar. Today we are going to look at a couplet that talks about the importance of keeping our emotions and senses in check. So without wasting any time, let's just jump into it. Dvishadbihi shatrubhihi kaschit kadachit pidyate va indriyai badhyate sarvaha sarvatra cha sadaiva cha. Let me repeat that. Dvishadbihi shatrubhihi kaschit kadachit pidyate va Indriyair sarvaha sarvatra cha sadaiva cha. What we are going to do is we're going to divide this into two bits and then look at them individually. So let's have a look at the first bit. The first bit says Dvishadbihi shatrubhihi kaschit kadachit pidyate va. Shatrubhihi means enemies. What this couplet tells us is about who is our real enemy or what gets us in trouble. And the first bit of this couplet deals with, look, if you feel it's your enemies, if you feel that you're troubled more by your enemies, then you're wrong. Because your enemies, well, they might trouble you or they might not trouble you. Because, well, if you're a likable person, if you're a lovable person, you might not have enemies ever. And people might just enjoy having you around and they want to see you genuinely happy. So, one might not have enemies all the time or forever. They might have, they might not. So, it is not going to trouble you all the time in the world. You might have some enemies for some time, but then of course they might go away. So, what is the one thing that is always going to get you in trouble? What is your true and real enemy? And that's what they talk about in the second bit. So the first bit talked about, look, one might get into trouble, one might get enemies sometimes, but it's not always going to be the case. But what is always going to be the case? Let's have a look at the second bit. The second bit says, Indriyair badhyate sarvaha sarvatra cha sadaiva cha. Now, you're not going to have enemies all the time, everywhere. But one thing you are going to have every time, everywhere, is yourself, your senses and your emotions. And that's what this couplet tells us, that who's the real enemy here? What is going to get you in trouble no matter what or where you are? Well, it's your emotions. If you keep your emotions unchecked, if you don't have all your senses under control, then you're definitely going to have one big enemy, and that's yourself. And you have to deal with yourself 24/7. So what you need to learn is to keep your emotions in check. If you get too angry, if you get too involved, if you get too emotional, if you get too attached, those are the things that are going to land you in trouble. So you want to make sure that you keep your emotions under control. If you keep them checked, if you have a hold over how you react to the things that happen around you, you will definitely be a happier person, and the biggest enemy, which is yourself, will stay away from you and won't get you in trouble. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how we react to what things happen around us. We have the power to control, and we can definitely make sure whether we want to be happy or not. So, keeping our emotions and senses in check is the best thing and the best gift that we can give to ourselves. Let's have a look at the couplet again. Dvishadbihi shatrubhihi kaschit kadachit pidyate va indriyair badhyate sarvaha sarvatra cha sadaiva cha. My take on this couplet is, one might or might not be troubled by hostile enemies, but one is always troubled by their unchecked emotions everywhere, every time. So if you want to be happy, if you want to be a person who doesn't have the biggest enemy, well, you want to control your emotions and make sure you always act accordingly and react properly to the situations. Thank you for joining me today. Stay positive, stay tuned.